Hello, everybody out there, and welcome to another episode of the Talk That Talk Show with me, Barry Holmes. And we are here for our 223rd episode of the Talk That Talk Show. And, like I said, I just never stop getting excited to come here and share a little bit of my mind and some of the things that are going on in sports and just within my life as well, too. Big shout out to TK who's tuning in on our Instagram live stream. Also, big time shout out to Marissa tuned in on our Facebook live stream. But I hope everybody had the great summer that I think that I had myself. I think that when we talk about Labor Day weekend, a lot of us dread that having to come back to work that Tuesday after Labor Day Monday. But for me, I think from kind of pretty much trying to freelance a little bit during the summertime and kind of creating a routine daily, I guess you could say, I'm actually kind of excited to get back to work and kind of get back into the swing of things and take on some new tasks and take on some new challenges within the career path that I've taken. So I think the one thing that I did want to do before going into Labor Day and before having to go back to work was definitely hit the beach up. And I can say that, with my girlfriend, we were able to hit up the beach a couple times leading up to the end of the summer. And there's nothing like having that ocean water hit your body and just getting a little bit of vitamin D from the sun. I truly enjoy relaxing, and I think that living in New Jersey, being able to appreciate the beaches and not only doing that, but getting to do so with your friends and family. Like Jeff came to the beach with us one time. My sister and TK were able to come to the beach with us today. It's just fun when you're able to go with people that you want to be around, and to be able to enjoy that last day before Labor Day and that reminder that summer's over. Well, I can tell you what, the temperature didn't seem like it. And I think the funniest part about it was we told ourselves we're going to try and get up super early so that we can make it out to the beach and not have to pay for parking and kind of get that prime location on the beach. And, I was a little worried at first if my sister was going to be up and able to make it up. But she got up early, and we were able to make it out to Long Branch. She got there pretty early. And for me, again, being able to be out there, and it was something that we really wanted to do, me and Doc. And when we first got on the beach, it was a little bit windy, a little bit cloudy, and it just didn't seem like the typical beach day that you would want to have. But I think that, literally having this band on right here where it says stay positive, stay strong, something that, me and Kenny kind of came up with to give strength to the people that were grieving, losing friends. And then also it wound up helping me out as well, too, when it came down to Doc being in the hospital. Have to be there and be strong for her. So this stay strong, stay positive is more than just like a band for me, because I feel as though I've really tried to take these words and really follow them. And when it came down to it, when it was super cloudy and it was a little bit windy out, and it just didn't seem like it was going to be the best beach day, me and Doc, Doc specifically, she's like, yo, just don't worry, it's going to get better. Just wait, be patient, it's going to get better. And sure enough, I'd say even before 9 o'clock hit, the sun was beaming. It was out, and it just turned out to be the beautiful beach day that we thought it was going to be. So I guess my point in saying that is that sometimes things can seem like off the beaten path, or it can seem like it's off schedule, or things can kind of, in a way, cloud what you think your future or your things that you want to do are going to happen. But if you stay patient, if you stay positive, good outcomes will come. And sometimes it will wind up being a lot better than you think it might be. If you would have been out there and saw how windy and cloudy it looked around like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, it just didn't look like we were picked the right day to go to Long Branch. But again, we were patient, we stayed positive, and sure enough, those clouds just shifted on over to give us the beautiful beach day that we wanted. And I feel rejuvenated. I think that when you get that water and when you were able to take that brisk swim, it definitely helps to kind of just change and realign your psyche. So, for me, the beach is always just a recharge, a great place to be. But at the same time, when you're rewarded for your patience, and it almost is like that flower that's blossoming. That's what happened to us today, where a beautiful day blossomed for us through our patience. So, again, I was able to have a couple drinks on the beach with the fam, and just set up for a good day. Just set up for a great day. So, one of the things also besides going to the beach that the end of the summer makes me happiest about, but it's also the return of college football. And I'll tell you this, for anybody that's saying that, the excitement has been lost in college football, I think you need to turn on one of these games. One of the games that I was actually watching before I got on air here was LSU versus FSU. And those, are two traditionally historic programs of success. And it's great to see, those Power 5 juggernauts go at it earlier on in the season, because, you really get the chance to figure out what these teams are made of right off the rip. And when you have an 8-9 matchups like you have with FSU and LSU, you talk about both of these teams who potentially have national championship aspirations. You lose this game and your chances are supremely cut in half, right? So, to have these do or die games happen such early in the season, it's the perfect way to bring in the college football season. Now, I would be lying if I didn't tell you that the biggest college football story this weekend was my boy Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, coaching the Colorado Buffaloes to an upset victory over TCU. Now, I'm not going to lie. I did not give Colorado a chance. I'm not going to lie. I wanted, Deion to do well, but I can't, honestly myself say that I truly thought that Colorado was going to go into, TCU in Texas and go beat them in a thriller. And that's exactly what they did. I think one of the things that Deion Sanders said that kind of sticks out was, he goes, "Not bad for some HBCU kids, huh? Not that bad, right?" And I think that, again, it speaks to the value within the HBCUs that off rip, people literally say, "Oh, that's Jackson State," or "Oh, that's Florida A&M. They don't play Power 5 schools, so they're not, their quality of talent isn't as good as a Power 5 school is." And that couldn't be further from the truth, because if you look at this guy, Travis Hunter, who played both sides of the football. Now, I remember Chris Gamble when he was at Ohio State, but even Chris Gamble didn't do what Travis Hunter showed us in this one game where he played both sides of the ball against TCU, which was a ranked opponent. Guys, Colorado only had one win last season, and already Coach Prime has this team beating a ranked team in TCU. And I got to give it up to my boy Shador Sanders, the quarterback, his son. He played a masterful game. I mean, when you throw for over 500 yards, you have over 4 touchdowns, it's hard to not put you on the Heisman watch. But even after his stellar performance, I looked to some of the Heisman watch candidates, and they're still giving like a Caleb Williams more of a shot and more odds in his favor, or someone like a Ewing from Texas. These guys that put up decent performances, but a guy in Shedeur Sanders who breaks the school record on the road against the ranked opponent, and he's not getting any type of star watch, or someone like a Travis Hunter who saved the interception from basically putting his team back without getting. If you watch, you had to watch the game because the quarterback from TCU threw pretty much a great ball, and 9 times out of 10 is a touchdown. But this guy, Travis Hunter, with his athleticism and the IQ of playing both sides of the ball, he jumped that route and pretty much saved the touchdown. And you could arguably say that changed the momentum of the entire game for Colorado. Because, when you look at the guy, also Dylan Edwards, the guy who has 4 touchdowns, catches the key pass from Shedeur on 4th down and gives them the go-ahead touchdown. I think that before Deion came in, nobody thought that Colorado had an offense. And he was getting a lot of flack for turning over, I think it was like 80-something players, new players coming into this system. But at the end of the day, if you look at this team and they had only one win last year, and the only guy that they retained from that defense is the linebacker. I can't remember what his name is, but white guy, really good though. He played solid defense, but that's neither here nor there. They did not retain a lot of players on that roster. So to be able to, have the flip and the changeover that Deion had, and also instill confidence in a guy and say, hey, you know what? You can go play over 100 snaps. You got it. You take the best player. That man held Savion Williams, who was acclaimed as one of the top wide receivers because of his height and his verticality, and he held him to under 10 yards all game. So this guy, Travis Hunter, is for real. Dylan Edwards is for real. Shedeur Sanders is for real. This Colorado team is for real. And it's crazy how even when beating a ranked team on the road in his first game as coach, Coach Prime still is not getting the respect from people saying, oh, well, TCU has a shitty defense. That win doesn't win as much because TCU's defense is garbage. And it's just so crazy how as you jump over these hurdles, gain these different goals, and win certain things, and people still discredit the work that you put in. And my message to the people that are saying, well, hey, Colorado's got Nebraska next week. Nebraska's defense is definitely way better than TCU's defense. What's the excuse going to be next week if Colorado goes out here at home and takes care of business? Is it that point where we'll start to take Coach Prime seriously and the things that he's doing won't be as outlandish? I saw something where instead of having the captain's patch, he gave the person the L, like his son the L, which meant leaders. And then the one guy, Travis Hunter, who plays both sides of the ball, he had a D on his jersey. Pause. But the D meant dog. So I like that because here Prime, in a way, is creating or forging his own path to greatness or his own style of coaching that can last in a Power 5 conference and literally revitalize a school that nobody gave a shit about. Nobody cared about Colorado. I mean, I think they did have like a tournament run in college basketball not too long ago. But I promise you, nobody is out here on the East Coast rocking Colorado shirts. But I promise you, after these next couple weeks, and you see that they start to beat, opponent after opponent after opponent, you're going to start to see the change in the culture shift to where people are going to want to go to Colorado and they're going to want to rock that stuff, man. I promise you that. So, Prime, keep doing what you're doing. I thank you for giving and empowering these students to do what they do on the football field, because it's exciting to watch, man. And I'll be watching next week for sure. But another thing that I think that we need to talk about, and that's something that I think I can't even believe the fact that we have to address this. Big shout out to my boy Sean Peck, who's tuned in. Can't wait to bowl on Thursday night at Majestic with you guys, man. But one thing that I think that we need to address, which takes, I just can't believe I even have to mention this, but just the fact that we have in the news, there's traction gaining to say that the Mets are seriously thinking about trading Pete Alonso. And I can't tell you how upset as a Mets fan this makes me. Because all you hear about with Pete Alonso is nothing but glowing things. Nothing but great things you hear. Oh, he's a great clubhouse guy. He's the heart and soul of our franchise. And granted, has his average dropped a little bit? It has. It definitely has. But when you have someone with the home run power like a Pete Alonso has, that is not something that you can find in the farm system too often. That's not something that you can pay millions of dollars for on free agency. Pop in the bat. Power is something that is very, very necessary on MLB rosters. And I promise you, if the Mets seriously entertain trying to trade Pete Alonso, they will lose a lot of fans from the New York Mets fan base, because Pete Alonso is beloved in New York. And when you look at what he's done on national stages, in playoff settings, during the regular season, he is a 1,000% professional. And one of the things that people always struggles with is playing in New York. And Pete Alonso seems to live up to the hype and love playing in this city. So, for the players to have to band together to convince Steve Cohen that Pete Alonso is the person that they should not even think about trading. Just the fact that the players have to band together to tell this man, Steve Cohen, this, and that Steve Cohen doesn't see this with his own two, or shall I say 4 eyes. If he can't see that Pete Alonso is a huge part of this franchise, then he's no more than just a millionaire mogul trying to make a big wave. Because then he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Because Pete Alonso is somebody, again, that you cannot replace. Almost to the point of where you give this guy, how do you justify giving Brandon Nimmo all this money and praising him for being the clubhouse guy, and not pay the real clubhouse guy who's doing way more than a Brandon Nimmo and is just as much of an effect in the clubhouse? We have my boy Brian Spawn, who says this will be one of the worst decisions they ever make if they trade him. He's the modern day leader like David Wright was. I have to 1,000% agree with that. And even Ish says, I don't even know why this is a story. I don't either, Ish. But it has been circulating so much. And just the fact, again, biggest red flag is the fact that players need to band together. And mind you, the season's not over. This is mid-season. During this season right now, the players have to band together. They're not even worried about the next fucking game that they have to play. They have to worry about trying to save the job for one of their most beloved players. And this is what makes this Mets franchise so laughable, because the things that are in the media and the things that are preventing the New York Mets from winning meaningful games is absolutely laughable. It's ridiculous. And things like this is what makes Mets fans lose faith. And that's all I have to say about that, man. It's really ridiculous. But one thing that I have to say that I'm really excited for coming back is the fact that we have the NFL. I can't believe it. We waited all summer, but we have the NFL back right before our eyes on Thursday. And the first game we have back is that Chiefs-Lions. I will be, man, I know I'm going to be at the Alley at Majestic, but I'm going to have the game on my phone. You know, I can't wait. I think we have a lot of storylines as this, progresses into the season that we can get more into. I could talk to you guys all day about some of the things I'm looking forward to on the NFL, but, most importantly, I really want to see the pressure on Patrick Mahomes to repeat. I think that if you can go back-to-back, that puts you in an elite category of quarterbacks. And I already know that, Patrick Mahomes is in a land of his own. But until he starts racking up the numbers of championships, then you're going to start to really see him try and take that GOAT away from Tom Brady. So it starts here. He's already got 2 championships, but, to be able to win a third, and not only just a third, but a back-to-back, aside from a contract dispute where I think the Chiefs need to pay that man Chris Jones, pay him, because he is an unstoppable force, and he was he may do what he does during the regular season, but like other reporters have said, when it comes down to the playoff times and when you really need a defensive stop, Chris Jones anchors that defense. So I really want to see Patrick Mahomes repeat, but he cannot repeat if they do not find a way to pay Chris Jones, because the defense is serviceable, but it is not elite like it would be if it had Chris Jones, right? So again, I'm really excited to watch my team play, but most importantly also, I'm really excited to get ahead in this fantasy football season. We tried to do a fantasy league a couple years ago. Kind of fell through with, having the, I would say lack of communication on some ends, and then also on other ends a little bit of sour grapes from participants. But, I think that this year when me and Jeff decided that we wanted to try and do a league again, we had to make sure that we picked the right apples, right? Because if you pick a bad apple, it'll ruin the bunch, and that's exactly what happened on our last go-round of the fantasy league. So we just tried to make sure that everybody was ready to go. We've been very accountable on people for making sure payment is on time, so that it's a real reputable league. But we had our fantasy draft for that last Thursday, and I also had a fantasy draft for Bobbis's league. Big shout out to Bobby Owens, one of the best commissioners out there. But big shout out to him. We had our draft today. I drafted on the Long Branch Beach, in style. Got myself a nice A- draft grade. But I had a lot of people asking this question: how accurate are the draft grades? And me and Jeffrey say this all the times. Projections are exactly what they are, projections. They're not always exactly fact, but they do have some merit to them. So if you're one of those people that got a negative draft grade, don't be quick to jump ship, all right? That was one of the tips that I wanted to make sure that I gave here, is that anybody that had some unfavorable draft grades, don't be too quick to drop players, all right? It's the first couple weeks, and you kind of have to understand some of these players are playing in new systems, some are playing with new personnel, and it's going to take maybe a week or so for us to get any data to really make roster decisions, right? So the quickest thing that I can say to help you with your fantasy team, don't be too quick to drop players, all right? Don't just abandon ship. And then the second thing that I want to say is try to stay ahead of your bye weeks. You don't want to have a bye week come up and you're on waiver wires trying to pick out dookie players to save your season, right? Try and stay ahead of the curve. If you see a guy's coming up on a bye week, try and go a week ahead and see if there's anything on waivers that you can try and finagle. You see this all the time where guys have kickers on buys and they have to drop really good players to pick up a kicker instead of taking that goose egg. So, again, roster management and patience are the two things that I can help, or at least give you tip-wise, to help you to win some more fantasy games. But the last thing that I wanted to talk to you guys before I hopped off the air here was I wanted to talk to you about a WNBA observation that I made. These are two key observations that I made, and they're kind of making me on the fence about where I want to place my futures bet on WNBA champion. And first and foremost, I want to say the observation I've seen about the New York Liberty is that top to bottom, they are a very well coached, hard playing, good team. A veteran team that has good leadership, but at the same time, they got a mix of young players that are fearless. And I just like the way they play basketball. I have to say that with the combination of Courtney Vandersloot, Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Jonquel Jones, these women play well together. And the thing that impressed me the most was when we went to see them play against the Connecticut Sun just this past Friday. Me and Doc went to Barclays Center, and we saw that Sabrina was in street clothes. We're like, what the hell is going on here? Why is Sabrina in street clothes? And sure enough, she was not playing. And we were like, oh snap, I don't know if this game's going to be closer because of no Sabrina. And would you know that the New York Liberty, I think they blew them out by like over 30 points that game. So one of the things that showed me was that even with not having their best player, they still are a good quality team that can beat you and really, get up and down the floor. I mean, the offensive efficiency that the Liberty play with, it really poses problems for people. We got Stan who says Liberty played at Prudential Arena a few years ago. Man, I wish we could have a WNBA franchise out here. But, I think that, the main thing is that at least that we have some notoriety, or we have some buzz going around in the WNBA. And it's making for some exciting games to watch and also things to look for. One of the other things that I observed, besides just how well the Liberty play top to bottom and how deep their team is, I think that on the flip side, that's what kind of worries me about the Las Vegas Aces and what we've seen from them. They've went 2 out of 2 in their last 4 games, and their losses, were to the Mystics and to the Liberty, both playoff teams. But when you break it down and see that the wins that the Aces had in these last 4 games are against the Mystics, who they lost to already, and also to the Storm, which are a non-playoff team, it's what's the words that I'm looking for here? They're a team that has the promise, right? They have the tools, they have the pieces, they have everything up front that says to you, this team can play. This team is a championship contender. But then when you see that they make these substitutions and they see that they're putting in these players that aren't to the caliber of that starting 5, you see a tremendous drop-off. And that's what, it's crazy for us to even talk about this on a team that's won 31 games. But from what we've seen, and as we see going into the playoffs, it's not exactly the best teams that win, it's the hottest teams. And right now, the Aces are kind of limping into the playoffs, and it's a little alarming, I have to say. I've kind of lost some of the stock that I was putting in the Aces, but I'm not exactly ready to jump ship. I'm not exactly ready to put all my eggs in the New York Liberty basket. I'm not ready to do that yet because from what I've seen in the WNBA is star power will bail you out of situations. And we can sit and talk to the moon about what the Aces have lacked in these 4 games. But what you can't teach is star power. And when you have those women of Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, when they're all clicking and on in cylinder all together, that is a dangerous team to beat. And even on teams' best days, they don't beat the Aces when they're completely on. So, I'm not ready to give up jump ship, but those were 2 observations that I think that as a bettor of the WNBA or just a casual fan of the WNBA, these are definitely some things that you have to look forward to. Bud Stevens says, what up, Barry? I'm back this week to Bowling League after 17 months out. Big shout out to my boy Bud Stevens. He's definitely the representation of hard determination, man. This guy worked extremely hard to try and get his health back to where he's comfortable enough to go bowl. And a lot of times you see people that don't take enough rest. They don't take the time to recuperate their body and get right to a point where they can not only bowl, not only play, but play at a high elite level. And I know that Bud coming back, it was hard probably for them to not bowl for those 17 months and to come and watch us bowl and have success and knock down our goals. But now it's time, Bud, for you to get back and lace them up. And I'm excited to see you come back on the lanes. I'll be there on Tuesday and Wednesdays at Bolero, so I don't know which league you'll be bowling in, but I wish you all the best, Bud. You're a good dude, man. But, that concludes it for us here on the Talk That Talk show. I want to thank you guys so much for rocking out with me each and every week. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. I have to say, it's just a tremendous feeling to come here each and every week and know that there's people that care about what I have to say. Just the fact that we have, so many people here on our Facebook live stream. We got Bud, we got Robert Brantley Jr., we got Tariq, we got my boy Kev Schaefer, we got my boy Brian Spawn, Uncle Mickey, Ishabad Crane, Howard Cott. It means the world to have people that truly care about this podcast and care about me for that matter. It's like, again, it's a responsibility that I don't take lightly. And at the end of the day, it can be so easy to just dismiss the groundwork, the things that it takes to get to where you want to go. And for me, this has been a process that I will never take for granted, and I always will take the time to appreciate. Someone like a Marissa, who I know has a busy schedule, but she still finds time to pop in on the stream. Someone like Brian Spawn, who even if he doesn't tune in live, he's got it tuned in on his Spotify, and going in through to work, he's got it playing on his phone. Someone like a Ron Alberti, who I'm at the bar with, and recapping what happened in bowling, and he comes up to me and he's telling me about what he enjoyed about my show and how it was so heartfelt, the one episode. And again, it's that type of feedback from people and that understanding that they're not just supporting me because I'm putting something out there, but they're supporting this podcast because truly they're enjoying it. That's the type of support that I really, really take with me and really continues to motivate me to go on to bigger and better things, man. So I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for each and every single one of you guys. Even though the summer is over, I don't want you guys to fret because, the fall is coming. There's a lot of great things on the horizon. It's just us to fill our schedule out and just to try and make the most of every day and opportunity that we get. So we might not be able to go to the beach all the time now because summer's over. But there's plenty of other things that we have to accomplish. and there's plenty of things to look forward to. I mean, I was even saying to Doc, we spent a little bit of extra money to sit a little bit lower to the WNBA game, and it felt good to splurge a little bit, to do the little extra for ourselves. So, I encourage you guys as well, too. I'm not saying you have to go to a WNBA game and sit a little bit lower, but what I am saying to you is, take a little bit of time to just spend it on yourself. You don't necessarily have to spend money on yourself, crazy amounts. But, if there's something like going to take a walk early in the morning, or taking that extra 10 minutes on the treadmill, or, just the little things like that. Trying to take something to infuse or give you that little battery in your back, give you a little pump that ready to go. You have to do things like that just to keep yourself motivated and ready to go. We have my boy Robert Bradley says, talk that talk. Why? Because we can. And that's right, man. I love coming on here on the mic and just sharing with you all who I am as a person and what I'm thinking about. It means the world to me. It's one of the best responsibilities that I could have. And it's something I'm going to be continue on, up until the next 500 or so episodes. Guys, to think that I'm already a couple episodes away from 225 is insane. Isn't that crazy to say that, this show has spanned longer than some world-renowned television shows? 223 episodes is not only a commitment to myself, but it's a commitment to each and every one of you that tunes in every week and shares a little bit of your time with me, sacrifices a little bit of time to be with me. I'm sure it might be nice to be in bed with your wife, or be in bed with your husband, or have the LSU game tuned on. I want to watch it too. But to be able to come spend this time with us here together, it means the world to me. And that's why, no matter how tired I am, no matter how busy my schedule is, no matter what's going on in my life, you all can depend on me to bring an episode of this Talk That Talk show every single week. I love you all. Thank you guys for rocking out with me. I'm going to continue to be myself. I'm going to continue to record these episodes and just keep giving you guys this Talk That Talk show. Keep challenging yourself, guys, because you never know what can happen. See y'all next week.